Welcome to the Integration Station. I'm Naturally Ashley, your host, here to guide you down the rabbit hole into the world of psychoactive plants, frogs, and fungi. Good morning, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Integration Station. I'm Naturally Ashley, your host and coach in the integration space here. And I've got a great guest, Tristan. He's been by my side since 2019. I started Elemental Growth in 2017, and when I was publishing my book and graduated from nutrition school, he was somebody that I met at the right time. He has a background in cinematography, and we were able to barter services quite a bit. And on today's episode, he's going to share with us his transformation journey over the time working with Elemental Growth, and also share what it is that he's doing now as he's going out on his own. We also have a few projects still that we're working on together too. Tristan has been trained in mindset and energy work, and this has been about a 15-year journey. As a Reiki Master and practitioner, he specializes in chakra analysis and the spiritual sciences around energy health. He's serving as a living testament of the success that is achieved through Elemental Growth. He's now proudly walking clients through their own journeys and about to himself graduate from nutrition school and begin helping as a coach himself. So here we are.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good morning, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Integration Station. I'm Naturally Ashley, your host, here with a special guest, Tristan. And some of you may have met Tristan over the years in our network or just through different travels that we've done. But others of you have been watching his work for quite a while now because he's actually the editor of the show. He's been helping out in the DMs and with Elemental Growth for many years now. We launched in 2017. He came into my life in 2019 when I was publishing my first book. So for most of our journey in Elemental Growth, Tristan's been here along for the ride, which is really cool.
4 years, that's been a while.
Yeah, and he I don't know, maybe you can share a bit more about yourself, how we met, what inspired you to become a part of this wild ride?
Okay, so what inspired me to become part of this wild ride is I've been able to determine more recently through working with you and plant medicine and whatnot is that from a young age, my body has had overstimulation issue and issues with its heating and cooling, which resulted in the bouts of times where if I had issues cooling my body, I was suffering severe depression, and areas where I was having trouble with my body's heating system where it would overheat itself and pretty much force my system into a very overstimulated state. And this heat would cause, a lot of emotional issues, emotional regulation problems, and essentially it would get so overstimulating for my body that I would suffer really harsh migraines my whole life. And I sought you out for a pain management issue. And at the time, I didn't know any of what I just explained. I just knew that my body would go haywire. I would be on the floor drooling in pain and not know what to do about it.
How often do you have migraines now?
I've had 3 in the last 2 years, and they were all from dehydration. And understanding more about my body, I had suffered, a lot of constipation issues and dehydration issues, and it's because my body was constantly like an overclocked computer, just processing and stimulating everything, and heat would cause dehydration, constipation issues, problems with the gut.
It's really all connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you think you got these insights? You said you didn't have the insights until, like, it's been an ongoing problem your whole life.
Yeah.
But now you have this new awareness over your body's intelligence and what it's trying to do. And
I had to, well, as you know, I've been working with you and with psychedelics for 2 years now. And in that time, essentially unraveling the layers of causing the overstimulation or depressive thoughts that, again, once you're in a depressed state, your body just exhibits being cold. You can look at the thermal imaging pictures on Google Image explaining when you're in love, you have a full body circulation going on. When you're in fear, you have more, all that heat is in your head, heat is in your heart, your chest. And then when you're depressed, your hands, your head, your heart, like everything's just cold all the time. And basically, as I unraveled the circumstances, environmental and lifestyle choices that were overstimulating me and putting me in a state where I would need to overstimulate myself intentionally to block out everything else that was overstimulating me. And basically, I got to a point where my body was still processing a lot and it was under a lot of stress. And I finally found the root cause of this, going back to when I was 7, an issue that I didn't want to talk about or address to other people or even myself. And it was realizing that my body was in such a state of alarm and panic that it thought and it wanted to die from a young age. So it was dealing with the cycle.
Well, I think the body never wants to die.
No, it wants to live.
But your body was so stressed that you yourself wanted to.
I was prepared to end it. And it was dealing with that underlying emotional cause of really planning out a future. And seeing where I want to go clearly to soothe my nervous system.
So what do you think helps the most? Because you have worked in a lot of different areas, both integration, space, and with different psychedelics over the last couple of years. What do you think has been most beneficial for this?
So, I would say the biggest benefit is that there is such a large spectrum of medicines to work with, and that in my situation, when my nervous system would go overstimulated and it would go haywire, and I wasn't able to control my thoughts, my speech, my actions, having something of choice that would give me that control, put me back in my body, give me that control over myself mentally and consciously, be it mushrooms, be it cannabis, tobacco, DMT, LSD, something that's centering. Rapé was very good for the centering. Just bring you back to where you need to be, because your head doesn't need to be thinking about all your different daily tasks at once, right?
No, and you've been going through that, like, even in small areas, this like type of over complexing to the point that you get stressed, to the point where you just want to like quit. No, it's a total cycle, and I've seen it even with we're having to do an ocean to ocean documentary, and it's a really exciting time. And in this, though, I have noticed that, as we're going through things, you're just like, every once in a while, you're like, okay, it's too much. And
being able to verbalize that to you was a big key. Being able to be aware, the psychedelics, the consciousness, mind expanding, being aware of what I was actually going through. And then being able to tie those back to the memories of being 5 years old, 7 years old, and being over-swaddled. And just having this heat rage inside me that can't go anywhere, and the emotional issues of that. And yes, the integration part, the biggest aspect that everybody will say is the integration part, because you won't always have a time to step out for smoke. You won't always have 15 hours to clear your schedule to do a DMT trip, or 6 hours for mushrooms to just go airplane mode. But being able to physically remove those obstacles out of your way, clutter, being in an organized space. And even what you saw this morning, we're getting ready to travel, so we're selling stuff and posting. And just knowing the process that it takes to post each item as I'm taking pictures of it becomes little computer screens on and open,
or so much
watching
open
the tutorials in my head, and it's processing all at once, and I can think of it and see it all at once. I actually thought I had memory issues. I more so remember everything and have trouble deflecting and sorting out junk and putting things in chronological order. That's your observations of working with me, is that I will do things right, but I'll do things in the wrong order based off which processes.
But sometimes that's self-sabotaging, because then if you're out of order, then you end up having to do one thing twice, and that does become more complex. Or, like one thing that one of my coaches said to me back in the day, on the beginning of my journey, and I hope that this is helpful for you guys, and it's that do one thing that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. And especially if you have a big list of things to do and you don't quite want to do it, or you're procrastinating, or they have to be done, is to decide, write them all out, and then decide for each one, do you want to delete it, delegate it, or learn to love it? Because if you have to do it anyway, you have to learn how to love it. If you have to do it yourself, you have to learn to love it, because that love will bring it a long way. It's okay to delete things. It's okay to put things in a parking lot and say, we're going to deal with that later, because it really doesn't affect life right now. Maybe there's so many downloads of things coming through from a psychedelic experience where you're like, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. And then it becomes so overwhelming. It's like, well, what actually works in your life? What's the one thing you can do now that makes everything else easier or unnecessary? And you just start there. Simple as it can be.
My overall recovery from everything as a whole became a pinnacle around my bathroom mirror, because it was the one area that was always super dirty and splattered. It's the area that you can spend a lot of time in. We do spend a lot of time in a bathroom as a whole, as a human being, that and sleeping. And so to keep the mirror clean and tidy and organized became my center focus. And from there, going back about 5 years, the year before I met you, from there it was keeping that one spot feng shui, organized, clean. Just the bathroom, the mirror, the sink, the counter. And from there, that stemmed into regular showers. Not excessive showering, trying to control my body temperature, or not showering at all because I'm so with everything, I just can't make time for it. So that organization, that taking control.
Well, what he means, he does shower. What he means is that he used to take multiple showers a day as a form of meditation, because that's the only way he could literally clear his head or cool his body down.
Yeah, either heat me up because I can't stay warm, or cool me off because I'm just overclocked all the time. And it's still a big part of meditation now too. And yes, being high in the shower is my favorite thing ever. Because
meditation and psychedelics go really well together. If those skills that you practice, like yoga, breathwork, meditation, that's all preparation for a psychedelic experience. It's also integration.
It's very true. The psychedelics won't work. They won't activate without that second piece. You turn them on. They just give you the extra oomph when you activate them, but you still need to be able to sit. You need to be able to clear your head, focus, regulate your system into homeostasis. Because you can take 3-5 tabs of LSD, and if your system's still out of whack, if you're still focused on everything that's driving you nuts, you're not going to get the relief you're looking for. If anything, it's going to overclock your system more and ramp up more.
Yeah, unless you're able to surrender. You got to surrender to the experience, right? This is why people have bad trips too, so they don't want to shut off. They make this commitment. I'm going to do LSD or mushrooms, and it's going to be my save-all, and that's all I need. It's like, no, you really do have to know how to get to a place of surrender. And some of that works through these techniques like yoga, meditation, breath work, moving your body in any way, tapping into your breath, being able to quiet your mind.
Using my body accurately too came a lot from healing and psychedelics. A lot of the integration spaces that I experience is in fitness, health, diet, different exercise techniques, different holding muscles under tension kind of training, types of yoga.
Qigong, we did a challenge.
Yeah, Qigong movement.
It's so fun.
And
it's like somatic shaking and dance and everything.
It's fun. It's yeah, you got a lot of cells and atoms in your body that just need to be shaken up. We're electromagnet, like self-winding watches. The more we move, the better we're going to be.
Yeah. And it's nice to volunteer yourself to do it. You know, then it's like free healthcare.
Mm-hmm. And I've had a lot of shoulder dislocations in my life, specifically on my left arm. And what came through to me a little while back was to help heal my left arm. It wasn't just the weight training or the time under tension, but the stabilizing muscles. So using my left hand for the light work, using it to write, learning to write with my left hand, making sure I do that every day, making sure I'm using my left arm for as many tasks as possible, brushing my teeth, switching it up. And that also helped heal the side of my brain that would have had some issues left over from the concussion as well. So the psychedelics give me messages on how to help my body function adequately and properly and at full peak. And then the integration space is all about encompassing that into your daily life so you can heal. Another thing that came through to me before I understood the overheating issue was 3 glasses of water, possibly per hour.
That seems like a lot, but you might have been really dehydrated.
Push myself to that. Sometimes I need it.
Yeah.
And that came first, and then as I started to cool my body down more frequently and taking that mindful moment to step out of a room to re-encompass myself, get focused, step back into it, or that magic minute that we talk about often just before you set an activity to make sure that you're centered and focused. Yeah. And it was messages about water and cooling myself before I really started to get it. And once I was able to cool myself, things started happening. Connections, memories came back. The last time I did a significant trip, I went all the way back to when I was between 1 and 3 years old, and I remembered a lot of childhood traumas of them being, that has led to things now. And taking that integration space to journal and get the messages and the memories that come back to you sorted and put in order is important as well.
To be honest, I don't actually think it's that important to always go back into the past and figure it out. I think what's important is to release the emotions stored around those memories and to unlock the lessons and the love. because there's always an opportunity for love. There's a lesson in everything, especially the shittiest memories. And when we're unlocking repressed memories, it's because we're in a time when we're safe and old enough to be able to feel those emotions and free them. And once we're able to do that, we get this clarity, and we're like, oh yeah, I can learn from this. This is what I got from this. You can see it from a different mindset. Even some of the craziest traumas that come from war or sexual abuse or childhood traumas or grief of losing a parent or a loved one or a friend or a girlfriend, all of those things.
It's hard.
Yeah, and in the moment we can't, because it's hard in the moment, we can't always process it all at the same time. So what happens is we get a triggered into that same state of emotion. If you can get back to the first time that you felt that emotion and free it, then you can create that better life for yourself with the lesson, and the trigger won't be there the next time, or it'll be less. I'm curious if you are able to show them some of your photos of your body since getting these downloads on how to train and get yourself where you need to be, because you had a crazy body transformation that happened. And it's not something we don't always talk about this with elemental growth. And normally we're talking about, psychedelics and mental health, but body transformation happens. And we've got a client in right now that's doing world records for things that didn't have a body or a lot of self-image, a healthy self-image beforehand, and you're one of them too. Your transformation still blows me away when we met to where you are now.
Yeah, in a sense, you and I are approximately the same size, so imagine yourself weighing almost 200 pounds. It's really hard to...
I wouldn't be able to wake up or move. It takes a lot of discipline.
My knees didn't like it. I had lower back issues to a point where the muscles were so knotted I couldn't do sit-ups because my back wouldn't bend. It was locked.
I remember when you were able to free that too.
I'm starting to understand that I may have been going through some form of hypertension my whole life. And just part of the yoga and the integration space was learning to relax my muscles. And I had a point where I couldn't sit up, I couldn't get out of bed, I had to roll my stomach sideways and tie my shoe up behind ankle to hip kind of thing, because I couldn't touch my knee to my chest to tie my shoe. I couldn't play with, it was bad.
Yeah, and that's one that comes up a lot too, is people with body or physical body issues where they're like, oh, I can't keep up with my kid, I don't have energy for my kid, or I want to do a dance or a dance thing with my kid and unable to do it. And for you, one of the biggest things was Anastasia wanting to go to the beach and all that, and she called you Daddy Pig off of Peppa Pig.
Yeah, that was a changing moment where she me in the stomach and said, Daddy, you have a great big tummy just like Daddy Pig from Peppa Pig. I'm the guy who looked like he was on steroids since he was 12. No, I don't have this. And then it became about 2 years to get rid of all of it. And what had happened in that time was essentially there was a lot of sugar, there was a lot of poor nutrition. My blood sugar levels, as part of the heat issue, would spike or drop, causing anxiety, depression, and there was a lot of late night eating, and a lot of sugar, a lot of cereal, a lot of inflammation, and a lot of more brain fog. And then, again, my system's already overclocked naturally, and then there's me carrying around 50 extra pounds at all times. And exercising rigorously daily. You were there when I hit my 50,000 steps in a day.
Yeah.
And it's been a journey. And then recovering from the tendon damage, the joint damage, the
shoulder
dislocations. My body's been through quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
isn't the body amazing? It is so incredible.
I'm healing. I feel like a normal person.
It's a self-healing machine. We're all self-healing machines. We got to be so grateful for our body, and for the most part we treat it like shit, and not everybody knows that that's what they're doing to their body. But
that's what the mushroom showed me. The last time we did that heroic dose, you guided me through it, and what was shown to me was that my heart actually was getting to the point where it just can't keep up. A lifetime of caffeine, constant coffees, iced tea. I'd be on coffee number 6 by 10 a.m. My whole life being this way because I'd overclock myself to make crash so I could shut down and sleep. And the mushrooms are showing me that my heart just gets to a point where it doesn't want to keep going.
Yeah, you gotta treat it with
now I
respect.
have to heal from that, and the healing is always more. And when I heal from this, there will be something new to learn, and more memories to come back, and more revelations.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the body is always healing. That's what it's there to do. One of the things that Duncan Trussell talked about that I brought up in an integration coaching session there yesterday, Eva Payne's retreat. So there's 4 girls, but it came up. It's coming up again now, and that's, what Duncan said was like a peak of a psychedelic experience, of a really good one, would be when the mushrooms or whatever your medicine you're working with says you were never sick to begin with. It's that moment when you realize that there was never anything wrong with you, because there's not. You're given this wonderful vessel, and it's the perfect vessel for you to do what your work is to do here. And working with the medicines, you learn or get closer to what that purpose, that dharma is in life. But it's still up to you to do that. And we can talk all day about healing and losing weight and all that, but what it all is your body finding its own homeostasis. Your body is finding its equilibrium, its balance. Your body is finding peace in itself. And in that brings a lot more clarity and a lot more energy to do the work that you need to do. Our ancestors had so much energy. Our generation, the last 100 years of generations is or of people being born, we're having that energy being stolen from us, essentially, through the food choices that are made for us. We do make some of it, but a lot of it is made for us by what our local grocery stores will bring in, and what sells. So it matters also, like the rest of the community. All this, of course, you do have a choice. You could grow all your own, depending on where you live, depending on whether or not you have a yard, depending on all kinds of things. So some of it is a choice. Some of it is also like cultural, but that's one area that our batteries are being burned. But there's also the technology. I had this visualization one time where that battery or that phone that we're holding on was actually stealing our energy and holding it for a bigger program. And that, one of my jobs here to do was to like untether from the tech. And this was when I was going through all the decentralization stuff. And so the message was really clear, especially with kids, how many kids are out there giving out their energy. When all that, the lockdowns and all that happened, I was like, I waited patiently for to hear the noise of teenagers out in the streets, dancing naked or playing music in the streets and all that, and it never happened. And I realized it's because our teenagers don't have the same energy that they used to back in the 60s when Woodstock happened, or before that. Teenager energy is most potent. It's the most potent energy, and it needs to be cherished. And then, ours gets all messed up. We're adults now, so we're sifting through all of what happened in our rebel years. But, here we are as parents. And again, we have this potential for a lot more energy than what we have. Even myself, I have moments where it's like, oh, I'm tired. I actually need to have a nap. And I'll fight with it and I'll battle. When I surrender, I actually feel much better when I get up. But it's, I don't think it's a bad thing to do that. I think it'd be worse to resist it. we do have to honor our body. It's on our side. It's here to help us, and if we can give it what it needs and have a real conversation with our body to understand what it's trying to say, that energy will come back just as naturally as having a 10-15 minute nap and feeling much better and clear-headed.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc@gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
I rambled a bit there.
That's okay. I get it. I've had numerous times in my life where I resisted that nap. And it could be that one in particular nap that I wake up the next day or 12 hours later, I got a cold or a flu. And I've learned too many times.
Or you sacrifice a relationship or something, get in a big fight with somebody because you're grumpy.
Yeah. Emotional regulations.
Yeah.
And just letting your body just take that moment to rest when you need it. And if it's taken from you through job, through bad relationships, bad environments, you can't shut off, then your body goes into overdrive and then you're me. It's so important to honor your body and what it's telling you. And it's okay to say, I'm overstimulated. This is too much. I need a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you were doing it in packing, one of the things that I noticed is like the way that we categorized everything. I'm like organizing genius, okay? I
Cheers.
OCD as a child, so I learned a lot about organizing and having things in order, and it's been a blessing. I found a way to turn that handicap into an asset and actually serve. It's something I think that's really important to do no matter what your diagnosis or anything. But one thing that I did notice with you though, is that when that overwhelm came up, it was very much just yourself in your head, because it wasn't that there was a lot. You know, it was that you thought you had to do everything at once. It's like, as a computer, you were the computer that had a bunch of tabs open, and the computer was about to freeze on you.
I need to slow myself down to figure it out and process it, or I need to ask for help or step away.
Yeah, or just close down the screens and one at a time and take breaths. Remember to breathe.
Breathe, yes.
Just breathe.
For me too, especially realizing that I've possibly been holding my breath to the point of blacking out my whole life.
Yeah, and that's an insight I think a lot of people, you're not alone in that. I hear this all the time.
When I was a kid. It's caused so many issues.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I have some of those ones around breathing too, or if something's too tight around my neck or anything, I'll get a little claustrophobic. Or also just noticing, oh wait, like I was holding my breath while I was driving because I was scared or anxious, or I was holding my breath in a conversation because I didn't want to be having it, or I felt uncomfortable, or anything like that. It happens. I've caught this with other clients too, where they come out of a big ceremony and they realize that their whole problem, the reason why anything, was just because they forgot to breathe. Mm-hmm. And remembering to breathe, it's going to help you in a psychedelic experience, but also in that integration work to get the most out of it, to get the most out of your life, right? So there are these different worlds and different dimensions that we can go to, but I think what's most important is really making the most out of this one we have now, because this is the one that, while a lot of people walk through it very unconsciously, we are most conscious of this one. We remember most of this one. We keep coming back to this one. It's really important that we do.
Because all that is now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are in the universe or in the time spectrum. Everything that is alive right now. And there is only now. And mathematically, the chance that billions of years from now, another Earth just like this one, with another combination of DNA and whatnot, would create another you, and that we all would live again.
There's so many. Yeah,
but right now, that's billions of years from now, and I'm sure it will happen. Scientifically, can be proven. But right now,
there's so many theories.
There's now, and there's what's in our head.
Yeah, yeah, and the focus should be on the right now, like the yin yang teaching. You know, in the dark there's always light, and the light there's always dark, and our job is really just to surf that wave in the middle, stay present in the moment. We don't need to go into the past and get all depressed, or into the future and feel all that anxiety. We can so easily just chill, ride the waves, wait for that opportunity or that big right wave to come, and then just ride it into shore, nice and easy. You know, surfing, you know, does come with its, as a metaphor, isn't always the best one. It's not that easy to do. I've done surfing myself, and, you know, saltwater enema, saltwater up the nose, feeling punched in the face by waves. But life does all that to us too. You know, it's part of the practice. Yeah, you're never gonna, you know, achieve something great the first time you do it. You're not gonna just pick up a surfboard and be a master surfer. You're gonna fall and get punched in the face by waves, and then you're gonna prove to life that you still want to surf, and you're gonna get back up, and eventually you're gonna catch the surf, and you're gonna learn so much along the way. So much about yourself, so much about your body, so much about the water, the tides, Mama Nature, the moon, so much.
If you decide you are the master surfer, and it's not your surfboard,
if you decide,
it's not the size of the wave or the ocean, it's that you choose to pick it up and you say, I'm a master surfer and I'm going to continue.
Because it's a skill. It's like with some of your stuff with like lock picking. It's like you can't just you can't really sell that stuff. You can't store it because people might get suspicious. You can't
take it with you.
Yeah.
Can't travel across.
You can't travel with it. You get arrested, or
the skills, the years of learning to use them.
Yeah, that's always going to be with you. That's always going to be with you. You can do that at any time. And the best part about it too is that nobody needs to know.
No.
It's like in your wallet. Nobody needs to know how much money you have.
Yeah.
Or how much money you don't have. Don't talk about it. You know? Nobody needs to know all of the skills that you have. You just pull them out at the right time for the right reason. With the right person. And then it's impressive. Yeah.
Psychedelics are that way too.
They are. It's never going to be the same experience.
It's the same as the lockpicks. You know, we are the psychedelics. We unlock our own understanding of ourselves.
Maybe somebody will watch this and be like, I want the lockpicking stuff.
Maybe.
It was, you know, some of the stuff was hard though. You know, there's a lot of illegal things.
Everything's illegal. Like, welcome to Canada.
Yeah.
It's illegal to think. I posted a picture of a, what year was it? It disappeared. 1867 coin. And it was taken down off Facebook because I was posting dangerous and hazardous materials.
A coin.
That went against their safety policy.
I've had trouble with Facebook too. I used to make homemade deodorant and I would sell it on Facebook and they would take that down too. It would be because I'd say aluminum free. Why do you want heavy metals in your deodorant? The skin absorbs heavy metal, any chemicals, the fastest through your forehead, your tongue, and your underarms. Those 3 spots. So, you know, they get you with the fluoride in your mouth. They get you deodorant, all these heavy metals that calcify.
And when you can't spit out the toxins, it goes into your
lymphatic system and you get cancer.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody gets cancer, and I hope not you, but a lot of people do. And nobody talks about this stuff. And I was, and there goes Facebook. Down you go. Bye-bye, Ashley. Another thing I said that got me in big trouble was when all that stuff was happening with the lockdowns, or with when they first said that there was a pandemic. And I was like, wow, this is the longest anything out of China's lasted. But I meant it about consumerism, because I honestly think that this is a really big consumer culture. Even picking up the stuff that we need on the road. Like anything new that's been bought, you see it from yesterday. Made in China, made in China, made in China. Went to powwow last year. Native American artists, dancers, families that handcraft things and wildcraft things, they were selling stuff made from China, made from China, made from China. What is going on here? Not every powwow does this, okay? But this one particular one did.
COVID itself turned into consumerism.
Well,
online shopping,
so much
online everything. What can you have ordered and shipped to your house?
I thought for sure there was going to be drones that start going to the apartment buildings. Amazon drones. Oh, I had a vision about that.
Happen.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, I thought all that was going to happen. I'm like, oh, this is when they activate the drones, and you know, we can expect to see them come right to the apartment building or whatever. But yeah, there was a big consumerism issue long before that. That just really spiked it, and it did make some already rich people more wealthy. When you track the money of any of that stuff, it really does bring in a lot of more answers and clarity, but also questions. And I think that's when the big rabbit hole opens up, and there's more to go. How have you been doing with the minimalism lately? Because you're really downsizing.
Feels good. It's kind of like what you said. I've trained my whole life for this. Any character or role model that I've really idealized had this type of lifestyle. The horseback lifestyle, the biker lifestyle, the travel and be a healer or a monster hunter, depending on what you're thinking, out in nature. Essentially, Masamoto Musashi, I believe I'm saying that right, world-renowned, the most talented sword fighter and world record duelist of fights to the death in his lifetime, lived a nomadic life walking. He owned no home. He rarely stayed at hotels or inns, and this was during the winter too in Japan. They get snow. He would just keep to himself, camp by himself. He lived this very unique lifestyle that helped him become the world's greatest swordsman. And a lot of warriors, a lot of heroes throughout history have had this pilgrimage, traveling explorer. I mean, all the heroes of the world were explorers. Marco Polo, Columbus, regardless as to people's opinions of them and what they actually discovered, Earth is.
Yeah, you don't want to hear my opinions on Columbus. If you want them, go get the book by the grinning Indian called what's it called? Peace Pipe Dreams. That one's really good.
Peace Pipe Dreams.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think his name's Dennis, but he goes by the grinning Indian. It's wonderful. A comedian, so it's a little bit light, but every truth that's in there is wonderful. And if any of you guys like comedians like Joe Rogan or George Carlin, you would like the grinning Indian. I think he's wonderful.
Sounds good. And yeah, to answer your question, the whole concept of personal development, the whole aspect behind science fiction or military trying to create a super soldier is that of survival, that you just rely on yourself. The whole point grading yourself with psychedelics is to know that you are okay without them or things afterwards.
Yeah.
Rambo, sure, he's renowned for guns and knives, but Rambo is Rambo. He operates with nothing, and that's what makes him special. That's what makes him famous. Same character again, Rocky Balboa, boxer. Didn't use steroids, didn't use tech, didn't use fuck all. He just used his training. Training was always a big part of my life. The concept behind Batman and Iron Man. You take away their suits and their tech, they're still geniuses. They're still highly trained people who can make the best out of any situation. And that, I think, is what is inspiring about the minimalist lifestyle, is to just be able to go into any situation, survive, thrive, and be okay. And come out of it, turn a profit.
Yeah, come out of it, turn a profit.
You don't want to just break even.
Yeah, you're not going... Yeah. Doing this type of stuff is not for money. It's for, I think, life experience, to make the most out of this life, and then the legacy afterwards. But let's be fair here. Like, money is magical. Money is an energy exchange. Money is... Like, when you go through something that's life transforming, you do want to come out the other side a little better off than you were before. Mm-hmm. Because it's, even when it's a hard thing and a hard life experience, we want to come out the other side stronger and better prepared. So yeah.
Money's one of those tools. It's like psychedelics. It's like power tools, comforts, electricity. Yeah. You don't always have it. Look at our friend Abe and his story.
Yeah.
He was really financially well off and set, and he was traveling, and he hit a point where his money couldn't help him.
No, because he was dehydrated and he
himself.
Needed water.
And that's where
and he couldn't pay for it because nobody was taking the money. Yeah.
Rely on yourself first.
Yeah, and this is why I like foraging and all that too. Learning the land. I think it's really important. We're going to learn many lands, going ocean to ocean.
I'm excited.
Different food sources. We're going to have like saltwater ocean. We're going to have fresh water. We're going to have deep forest, and we're going to have mountains and valleys and all different types of terrain. And there's going to be a lot of different techniques that we could use when it comes to foraging and setting up shelters and all that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, all the training through
Looking forward to it.
whole lives leading to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done this with my own vehicle. Like, we've been around, we did a lot of traveling last summer, road tripping. And that is about the extent of my experience doing it in a car. It's just road trips. This is something that normally I would do by bus or by plane. Where it's like, okay, drop me off at a certain area, get on a plane, go to the other area. Or buses. Okay, I'm going to stay here for a bit, get on a bus later, go to another area for a little bit. To do it with my own vehicle all along the way. It does make it easier, I think, having Finn and a dog and you and equipment. But it's also very new for me, too. There's a lot more to think about. In a sense. Somehow, I feel that the more we have, if we go back to the minimalism thing, the more we have, the more there is to think about and the more complex things get. But when it's just you, it's so simple. Because it's just one thing. Especially if you love yourself and you know yourself. If you're not there yet, keep going because it's totally worth it.
It is.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to mention, and the first thing that I noticed working with cannabis is I always had a lot of sinus congestion throughout my life. The lactose intolerance and dairy and coffee cream and whatnot. And having cannabis tobacco,
The rapé
was able to take that congestion and clear it out and just get it out of you. Because so often you just get congestion that sits and you can't get it out. The coughing as a side effect from smoking really does get all the gunk in your lungs up and out. It's so healthy and you feel so much better to intentionally smoke to make myself cough to clear it out, and then I'm good. And the rapé works wonders with, again, sinus congestion, summer allergies. I used it really heavy in the summer and quite frequently in the summer, rather. And for the first time in my life, sinus passages are open. My whole life, I always had my right side was sealed shut due to inflammation.
Holy shit. I don't normally cough.
It's good. Something about that told me it's like in Pineapple Express. You're supposed to cough. It gets the chemicals, blood to your brain. It's not always comfortable though. Big aspect that helped is when you work with DMT, LSD, psilocybin, you get DMT released in your brain. The chemical reaction of which, when your neurons are firing to a point where you're literally producing light inside your body. Why they say we're made of light? Because the electrical impulses in our brain is literally light. DMT cools your body's temperature, which, for what I explained before, someone like myself who would be overheating in an anxious state, not being able to focus, being able to have that rapid cool, being able to take that inflammation, full body inflammation, and take it down, it was able to give me the focus and clarity to make it through those moments and continue on to be productive through my time.
But the water does make it a little bit better.
You're okay. You.
Yeah. Normally I don't cough. All right, so we're gonna come back for a couple more sessions here. I'm gonna pause for now. We'll let our sponsors share what it is that they've been up to. I'm going to get the hash out of my medicine bag and roll us another joint. And we'll talk soon, okay? Bye.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our sacred salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. Welcome back, Tristan.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so I got the hash ready. Got it chopped up. Instead of rolling it in cannabis, though, I'm using mullein, just like call it cowboy tobacco. It's a really nice herb. There's a lot of different smoking herbs, many different psychedelics out there too, and that's kind of what I wanted to come back and pick your brain about. A bit about your story, because psychedelics are pretty new to you. So I'd love to, pick your brain on that, or if you wanted to share with the audience some of that story, how you got into psychedelics, found your way here, and then also what you've been up to in the space since you started working with them.
Okay, happily. I've made a lot of notes and have found a big calling in this kind of research and understanding what and how each medicine has its own unique properties. And the concept behind psychedelic research is old, but the fact is that a lot of the research was damaged, destroyed, propagandized, rewritten. Like, it all needs to start from scratch, and people need to know more specifically how these medicines can help them, because it's too much of a misnomer. The myths that if you take LSD, you're going to climb a rock cliff and dance on top and slip and fall and, knock yourself out or something.
And that's the stigma.
People see it from alcohol and they try to make a comparison, but there is no fair comparison. It's like comparing a sleeping pill to caffeine. Like, you can't compare them unless you're doing a direct contrast.
Every once in a while, something gets me.
One thing that I would like to mention is when you're smoking, you have to be very conscious of the heat that goes into your lungs, because a lot of the coughing, the discomfort, and lung inflammation that happens from smoking, in my personal experience, isn't specifically from the smoke, it's from and if you can get a proper oxygen to smoke ratio, you can have a nice concentrated meditation sitting without it really affecting coughing you physically.
Well, another thing too is you come from a background where you didn't smoke anything. You didn't smoke anything. Psychedelics were all, the propaganda was all real to him.
Drugs are bad. Stay in the indoctrinated school system, get fucked up.
Drink on the weekends with your friends. You never were an alcoholic or had that problem, but it was definitely normalized more in your life.
I did use alcohol to control myself for a time being, and as anybody I've ever met who went that route, it caused a lot of emotional irregularities and more depression, more problems. And from there, you asked about my journey to you. So it started when I was about 7. I became very aware of depression and having these emotional irregularities. In high school, I became aware of both the depression. I was taught to scientifically and medically control it through alcohol as a means of controlling anxiety from one of my school teachers. And therefore, I took that as permission.
How did that conversation
drunk
go?
at school every day. It went along the lines of, before a test, it's better, and you see this with fighters before fights too, that they're not training right up to the point of battle.
Yeah.
They take a week or 2 off to rest, reset. And ergo, the moral of the story is last minute cramming, overnight sessions, trying to study, read last minute before your test. You won't absorb any of it unless educational piece, right? You are able to keep yourself in a calm state of mind. And therefore, when I would drink or use alcohol, I was able to retain that last minute information, and I was able to control my...
So it's not necessarily that your teacher said drink before a test.
No, but this is where my mind took it from this information.
Was drink instead of cramming.
And I took this as, well, we'll just drink alcohol before math class every morning and we'll have a good school day.
Yeah.
But I was always taking breaks, trips to the bathroom, and trips to get water, because I was always hot. And
Try not to haul too hard on it, because then all the hash will go in there.
we could use the small one. We have the screens too.
It's okay. Just
Don't haul on it.
Just don't haul. Yeah, that's what you want.
I would use alcohol to control what I now have come to an understanding of was a heating and cooling issue of my body. And from there, what ended up happening was because I was overstimulated naturally and couldn't cool myself, couldn't shut myself down, and then going back to the age of 12 caused a lot of insomnia issues and problems being up all night, to which I then found that the best and only way to shut myself off was a forced system crash. So to overstimulate myself through severe sleep deprivation, video games, movies, non-stop screens, porn, just pick it, over exercising, until my body would just shut itself off and down, and then I could actually rest. This clearly resulted in a pain management issue where my nervous system would get so overrun with sounds and being able to just keep track of everybody in a room at once and their movement and what they were saying. It was very hard to shut it out. It's like somewhere along the lines my filter got broken or just isn't there, and it's hard for me to shut out what's around me. And that led to painkiller problems and issues. I was just kind of continuing where I was.
Oh, that's cool.
If you want to jump in.
Well, I'll jump in, but I'm not going to interrupt. Or, I mean, I'll interrupt, but I'm not going to jump in.
How's that working? I love you. So, basically, because of, again, getting into alcohol, caffeine, and whatnot to try to console myself while I was awake, I would then overstimulate myself and I couldn't sleep and had all these insomnia issues and whatnot. So then I would use video games or screen time, anything I could to overstimulate myself into a forced system crash. And then came the pain management and the migraines.
And you expressing this is an insight that you have now, but you didn't have this insight that's why you were doing it.
This is all quite new.
Yeah.
And I think the psychedelics do that too.
Yeah, but I think it's really important to know that you've been on this journey for 2 years.
Yes.
You're still learning.
Yes.
And you're learning important things about yourself.
Yeah, and it's taken 2 years to get to this point.
Yes.
Of really starting to get understanding myself.
And there's already been so many changes in these 2 years.
Yeah.
With your body, with your mind, with your emotions, with your life in general, with your relationships. Including the one with yourself, including the one with your daughter, your mom, your dad. And then there's I think it's just really important to say that there's always more happening. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. The integration work is incredible, and the messages do come from the plants, the frogs, and the fungi, but they also come from our selves, and they also still keep coming even when we're not working with them. And a lot can happen in a short amount of time.
For sure. Those aha moments, it sticks with you long after.
And when you were in those moments using video games and all of that other stuff, caffeine, a really big one for other people, you weren't thinking or tying it all together. And I think that's what I wanted to bring to the surface too, because anybody listening that's like, oh, caffeine's not an issue for me. It's like, okay, well, why don't we wait another 2 years and see how you feel about that after you've had some mushrooms and DMT?
Well, I was so overstimulated Like, I would have trouble speaking using a pen, pencils, memory issues. Like, for me to process through so much information to understand what and why it was affecting me the way it was.
Just little breaths.
That's neat.
I look in the bottom of a bong sometimes and I'm just like, look at all that good stuff. God, anybody ever drank bong water by accident? Us.
Can I give you a hint?
My excuse for any of those days.
Can I just give you a hint? Something that I realized that I wanted to kind of mention.
What?
So you can get your own hash. I was cleaning the bong, the little one, the other day. I was trying to get the stuff out of the bowl.
Oh, that's not hash. That's
lemon. But regardless, you smoke that. It's wonderful.
Yes.
And it was like a master meditation piece because I was realizing it was from all the medicines that have ever passed through that bowl, all the emotional traumas that have been used to heal through it, and all the questions I've had that have been answered through it. And it's like it was a master smoke by cleaning the bowl. And
like a rapé mix, a special rapé mix.
Kind of.
But instead of it being rapé that you snore, it's like the specialty blend of resin.
Basically.
And any stoner with a bong or a pipe has been there. Any stoner that's rolled a bunch of roaches has been there.
Well, like you said, I'm just figuring these things out.
I know. I think anybody who just heard that, well, you can make your own hash.
When you're cleaning your bong.
Yeah, you can.
That's how you have your cake.
Yeah, most of us, I think, maybe not all of us, like, because my mom, she never started smoking until she was in her 40s. So she didn't really have these experiences, but I for sure was making all of those kind of epiphanies when I was in high school or like 13 years old. Like, oh yeah. Learning how to roll because you got to take all the cigarette butts from your parents. Like roll your own smoke or like cleaning out the bong or the pipe, and because you have no weed. That was the thing. It's like we would do it because we didn't have anything else to smoke.
Out of necessity. That's why I can't roll. I haven't been that desperate yet.
Plus, there's been free dispensaries since your time smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, you pay for your stuff, but the dispensaries are everywhere.
Yeah. Just read they opened the third mushroom shop in Toronto, too. And, yeah, where would you like to take this? So, I was covering the part of my story finding you up to the point where I had painkiller addiction issues and these horrible, crippling migraines.
Because that was a big one for you to get off of. You hit a lot of parts of yourself, I think.
Anastasia stage, I was grade 5. I had somebody tell me take these adult Tylenol. Like these, like, meant for adult extra strength. You fucking need it. You are in pain.
They give us, this happens too. Like, I see it a lot with girls when they first get their period. And their moms will be like, oh, go in my purse. Go get an Aleve. Get this, get that, whatever painkillers are available. And it's like, if periods are really painful, then you need to talk to somebody about that. You don't just cover up the pain. They don't have to be painful. They don't have to be this dark, closeted thing. We don't have to shove things up there to block the stuff from coming out that wants to come out. You know, the whole point is the release. Of course, a man would come up with the solution of let's just plug it up.
Stick some duct tape on it, you're good to go.
But, you know, this is a beautiful time for women. And I see a lot of young girls end up addicted to painkillers because of their period. Period means painkillers, and then they'll take the painkillers for anything after. Oh, well, it worked for that, so anytime I have cramps, I'm going to use it now.
I think it's still burning. Yeah, it was hard.
Oh, headache? I wonder if it works for headache. And then, yeah. it tastes delicious, right? With the hash with mullet. It's a really nice taste. The joint was a bad idea, though. It was too harsh. It had to go too hot.
I've had good experiences with it from really long. But
you just can't pull really hard.
The DMT cannabis sandwich joints, that was new. I haven't tried that yet, so I thought maybe try it.
I really like that. It
works well.
Yeah. The DMT in a joint. I mean, if you have enough of it, the NN-DMT, you can roll a joint with it. You do the same thing as with hash. You just sprinkle a little bit on. It is really nice. And you can drift away, especially if you hold on your smoke and you have an intention and you blow out. It can be really powerful. And if you're just smoking it as a regular joint, I think microdosing it, I think it's still getting into your body, and that can be really helpful too. It changes my emotional state instantly. And yeah, working with it now in joints, I think it's been wonderful. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want, if you're a heavy cannabis smoker, you don't want to be doing that every single day, or every joint every day.
Just doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get called to the floor personally anytime with DMT. I know everybody says they blast off to another dimension. My experience has been quite different, where it brings me to the floor and then I look up at the other dimension. Or like I have to lay down for this one and then the exit.
Okay, let's segue into this.
Yeah, sure.
Your experience, my experience with DMT.
Yeah, because you've been working with the NN-DMT, not Bufo, not 5-MeO, not any of the other.
Not the heavy hitters, although DMT is still the heaviest hitter you can get.
Yeah, DMT is a master teacher. There's two versions of it. There's three versions of it, sorry. The synthetic, the plant-based, the frog-based, and then the fourth one, so there's four, would be the one that we create ourselves through our lungs and when we go to sleep and are dreaming. So
yes, very important to be able to reach that REM sleep and be able to have DMT in dreams because it resets your brain. Just gonna put this out there for people, educational purposes. Overuse of cannabis disrupts your sleep pattern, so you don't reach that REM sleep and you're not able to dream
or remember them
or remember your dreams, and this affects everything else
in that time.
It affects your spatial processing issues. When you're awake, you become clumsy, bump into things. It's like cannabis use, I am a big promoter, but it's also well worth mentioning that it does disrupt your sleep pattern to a point where there will be issues that you're going to have to make the best of.
And that's why...
It's not life-threatening, but...
No, and some people go their whole life...
Sleep deprivation can be, yeah.
But you don't really deprive yourself from sleep. Like, if you take a heavy indica, you're going to sleep no matter what time of day it is.
Or cannabis cookie.
Or there's a story for you to share. We'll get to that in just a second.
We're on DMT now.
But yeah, oh my gosh, we should start writing a note. You can tell we're high now. We got all the topics to come. But yeah, so cannabis, if you do the indica, you're going to be in the couch. The sativa, you're going to be more creative, active, get that to-do list done and feel good about it. And while you're doing it, especially if that's your intention, because I've done videos on this before where it's about intentions for cannabis or different psychedelics, but also ones on being productive while still smoking weed and things like that I thought were really important. And then what else am I thinking? Yeah, so you got those two. You have got the hybrids. But essentially, if you're working with these things, your dreams, you're not going to be able to do the integration work or get the messages from the gods and the goddesses that are out there giving you downloads. The same downloads that you'll get in a DMT trip are the same kind of things that we get while we're dreaming. we're still going to a different dimension. Sometimes if you're a lucid dreamer, have a lot of control while you're in there. If you're an astral projector, and you can do all kinds of different things. You can visit different places, different dimensions, different places on this planet. You can visit people that you know, love, and care about. You can observe and time travel different eras. The dream work I think is super important, and it's one reason why for myself, cannabis and dreams.
Yeah.
So it can numb that out, and there's a lot of integration work to do. If you're hitting these other dimensions, and you can really master that dream work because you've been there with DMT, or you're practicing lucid dreaming, or recording your dreams when you wake up, or looking them up, finding the synchronicities in all of life. Like, these are all those kinds of moments. That's something that DMT really validated for me, and it's one of the reasons why, as much as I love cannabis, I truly do, I'd rather smoke it in really large quantities sometimes rather than every single day get completely ripped. But I do love it, and I'm called to it quite often, and even when I do give it up, there it is. But I also think that that's the way that life is testing me. Do you really want to do the dream work, or do you really want to be smoking the cannabis at this moment? And sometimes it is a decision that I make to do the dream work, and sometimes it's a decision I make to work with the other medicines. But I think they're both important. And there are these multiple ways to tap into that natural DMT, or be working with the plants, frogs,
fungi.
Fungi doesn't have DMT, but yet that we know of. Oh, yes, psilomethoxin. But it's a mushroom that's fed DMT and then becomes this DMT mushroom.
Interesting.
Sacrament. It's a sacrament that's used in a church. They actually have a psilomethoxin church.
My mind can go to a few different places from here. That sounds awesome. We should definitely visit there in our travels at some point.
It's in Texas.
So, part of the shadow work, and this is also something I am going through currently, is if you use cannabis because you don't want your dreams, because you are suffering nightmares that you don't know how to process in the integration space of just being with those thoughts or experiencing it, doing the dream work, doing the shadow work is what you need to heal. And that's where I'm at for myself, which is to start replacing cannabis meditations with something like microdosing, and I need to do that dream work and be in that dream space to process through the next layer of healing, which is nightmares, which isn't part of it.
That's one of the reasons why I started smoking weed again. I was into it very young in life, and I stopped at one point in time because alcohol was better, so I thought at the time, and I started having these crazy nightmares. So I started smoking cannabis again to stop, to suppress them until I was able to deal with it. Because eventually I started working with other types of psychedelics and doing Kundalini yoga, which is a yoga, meditation, breath work all in one. It's really powerful stuff. And then I started seeing the similarities between that and my dream work, the living life in the dream, and was able to really work through what I was scared of in those dreams, and I was able to face it straight on. But it was a bit of a journey, sometimes with the cannabis cannabis helps. It's got a lot of benefits. This is one of those things though where it can suppress dreams, and for most people it does.
I was gonna cut in there just quickly. I can and have and can frequently have dreams on cannabis, but you don't remember them, and there's no specific context. It's not anything earth-shattering where you wake up and it's like something makes sense, or I need to do this right now to make everything better or go away.
Imagine if we did honor our dream time, though, the same way. And this is something I work to do in my own personal life. But to make dream time like a psychedelic experience. You have your intention setting or your nighttime routine. You have your integration, that moment you wake up. And just writing down whatever the journal was or whatever you did, or listing a couple things that you want to look up throughout the day or to get done.
And the solid truth is, mushrooms through most psychedelics kind of knock you out. You get a point where you really kind of want to take a nap. So you kind of
get the yawns
have that sleep time, or you can choose to push through it and do an activity, a yoga, and be conscious for the messages, or wake up and do it then. And again, it's psychedelic in the sense where you're journaling while you're dreaming. Therefore, it's important to take that integration time. I always
think it's important. Yeah, I don't always think it's important in a psychedelic experience to do all the journaling work and all that either.
You do it after. That's the integration.
Yeah. Just like with the dream work. It's not during the dream. It's not during the experience. It's the integration tool. Yeah, have a journal there with you in case you need it. Just like have a journal beside your bed in case you need it. You know, maybe you wake up throughout the night, or maybe you have a hard time sleeping and you grab your journal to get everything out.
Mm-hmm. That's helpful.
Yeah, just having a dream journal doesn't mean it's restricted just to dreams. That's your, journal for all things. And it just happens to go to bed with you.
Mm-hmm.
Empty your head, and it's a powerful tool. What has, actually, let's go back to that story of you with the edibles in cannabis.
Okay.
We gotta hear this one.
Okay. I'm followed up with where we're going with everything. Okay. So, full unique experience was my first time having edibles of any kind, nor did I have any prior research or experience with people, even through discussion. Before this, it was my birthday, wasn't it?
No, it was my birthday.
Your birthday.
And my
That's
mom
why I screwed up so much.
My mom hooked me up big time because she knows I like cannabis, and I was the one she came to when she was ready to try it to get off pain meds, and so she thought it was a really nice thing, but I really don't do well on edibles. I either pass out, so I don't actually enjoy them, and I don't remember my dreams really from them, or on the occasion I have gotten paranoid. Since then, I have had some good experiences. People gift me a lot of stuff, and some of them are I get it, but it wasn't for me at that time. And so I took the gift package, had one of everything that you
I took the gift package.
Well, I said, here, Tristan,
this needs to go somewhere.
I got
these.
Yeah, they need to be eaten. I don't know how long they last or anything. I mean, they were all nicely packaged and stuff, but I still.
And I'm used to you bringing me good food, perishable foods all the time, like avocado, where it's eat this fast or else it goes bad. It didn't process to me what it was. I didn't understand.
He ate it all.
That I just ate too full of whatever's that you just gave.
Cookies, brownies, Rice Krispie Square. I don't even know what else there was. But you went through all of it.
There was a point in time where we were sitting in the car, having our session. I guess we were smoking as well. And I was consciously observed that the trees across the street were waving at me and looked like cartoon pop-out images. And you were getting very frustrated with me in the conversation, that even though I thought I was following the conversation and speaking in terms that would be contributing, you made it very clear that I didn't know what I was talking about, or that we were just on completely different pages, and it was frustrating because I could see that I wasn't making sense, but I couldn't make sense enough to ask for help. And I'm sure this is a fractal throughout my life anyway, because this is just what my body does anyway.
Yeah, I'm actually going to just skip to break, let our sponsors share what awesome stuff that they're up to, and then we'll have you right back for this segment here. Oh, plus, I'm going to let the dog out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have a bathroom break, too. We'll see you guys in a bit. Bye.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Are you watching television on Roku, Fire, maybe an Apple TV or even Chromecast? If you are, then download the Boxcast app and search for CBGTV.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have two lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Reiki brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
In general, so I ended up needing to take a nap, but I didn't realize I needed to take a nap. I kept trying to cook food, and I remember I was cutting carrots or something at the board. I had fallen asleep standing up, which after working with things like mushrooms and stuff, I'm now consciously aware that I can take a nap standing up and be okay through yoga and whatnot. But this is a separate...
And it's not called nap, it's like meditation.
Yeah, I'm going to meditate and just clock out here while I'm standing in a fixed position. It works. But at this point, yeah, I was shutting off, trying to mid-sentence talk to Ashley, and she's just telling me to go to bed. And I reached the bed, I just collapsed onto it forward, and so that's where that memory ends. And at some point you had moved me back into the bed. I knew I had woken up a few times. I knew it was your birthday. I knew that you were very upset with me that I was now unconsciously trying to...
It was 3 days.
Walk.
It was 3 days, and yeah, my intention was not to be taking care of him in that way, in that time. But
no, you had your show. You had to do your recording.
Yeah, the one day.
I did wake up enough to watch it the next day, but I barely made it through that.
I remember it was 3 days total that you were out, because the first day that it all happened was the day that I got here.
Yeah.
And then we
you recorded the next day at 11:11.
Yeah.
Which I woke up for and barely made it through sitting at my computer for that hour and a half, or however long we were doing the Zooms back then. And then I was passed out for another.
They were only 30 minutes back then. We started it at 30
It felt like a long
minutes.
time. I was very high.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like the day after that, on the third day, where I kind of like leveled out.
Yeah, because I had to
If
leave
I
again on the second day after the recording, but I stayed later. But I did have to leave that day, and I remember looking at you, and I'm like, I don't even know if he's gonna remember this. But I had other things I had to do.
Oh, I
too.
know. I remember.
But I was
I was consciously aware, but I couldn't respond. I
Yeah,
was
and then I get a call the
done.
next day that he's like super dehydrated, but finally back. He had no idea what had
If I
happened.
didn't wake up to the 11:11, I might have just kept going. Wake up on day 3, no water, no food. That's a scary thought. I'm glad I did wake up. And the psychedelics always have your back that way.
But
They
it also-
always keep you consciously aware of what's going on.
Yeah, that you were
It's
dehydrated.
not like you're drunk
had
and you're
to-
just out of it. You always have control.
Yeah.
One issue that I've actually had is even on like 7 to 10 grams of mushrooms is actually still being able to let myself relax and let go.
Surrender.
So it's not like being drunk where you just actually don't know what's going on. You still have a lot of control and conscious awareness of yourself in these moments. But yeah, in this case, I slept for almost 3 days. It was bad. And never had it happen since, nor would I want to. Even Joe Rogan said, out of any dangers in psychedelics, edibles are one of them.
Yeah.
So that was my story and experience. We can laugh about it. Some of it was quite funny. Me trying to get up and walk around and you trying to put me to bed. But
Just
it
go
took
to
me
bed, man.
off guard because
Once people listen.
at this point I had been through many near-death experiences, including failed suicide attempts, and I had never actually really been knocked unconscious to the point where I really lost that kind of control. So it was scary to me, not being able to be. So it serves as a good reminder. Unless you have any other thoughts, I know where I want to.
Yeah, transition.
there.
Where do you want to go?
So, each medicine that I've worked with has its own unique purposes, and I swear by the medicinal benefits for all of them in its own unique way. DMT had 2 types of callings. One was for pain. One was that I realized because I was having a migraine with you that one time, and we tested the theory. And
Migraine went away.
to the point where I'm understanding that those migraines may have been a type of stroke or seizure, and I desperately did need help in that moment. And the DMT was able to act as that instant pain relief. Whereas when it wore off 20 minutes later, the inflammation of my system still came back in. But seeking DMT for chronic pain management was a successful trial part of my journey. And I do like having some around and on hand just in case I get one of those crippling migraines. And, you know, they have...
Yeah, like it didn't turn you off
can,
by cannabis
but-
or anything either, because you still use it to mitigate pain and
Yeah.
all that. But I guess that's the point here of you sharing is
It's different
they're all a
types
little
of
bit different
stimulation.
medicine.
If I'm lightly stimulated, then cannabis will work. If I'm moderately stimulated, then frying my brains out with cannabis and a side dose of mushrooms will work. If I'm like, seriously, if I don't curb this pain, I'm going to need a hospital because I'm going to get to the point where I can't function. I shut down. I'm just in so much pain.
Then DMT.
Then the DMT was there, and I successfully was able to heal that, or heal myself through that, and the awareness of the overheating and water. That's why I was always having these constipation issues and these headaches, was because I was overheating. So water, 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 water. The biggest part about psychedelics is that when you're smoking a lot of cannabis, you're going to be properly hydrated. Because you can't smoke a lot of cannabis without being properly hydrated. And so you adapt these health beneficial habits that continue on in your integration life of being sober and without it. You learn the nutrition benefits, you take in the yoga and the exercise.
Yeah, I remember when I first started smoking weed again to mitigate those nightmares, I worked in a lot of different restaurants and stuff like that. I had access to like so much yummy food, but the tastiest thing that I could get my hands on was avocado and cherry tomatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper. And I was like, oh my God, this is the tastiest thing. After all those years of, after all those years drinking and not working with the cannabis, like to have it and that first round of munchies was great. But here's the thing, if what you're used to going for is junk food, or if all you have around is junk food, then that's what you're going to eat. And that sucks too.
Yeah.
The body needs to recognize that nutrition is proper nutrition again, because a lot of people have been raised to forget, raised on raised on formula instead of breast milk, raised on candy and sugar and carbs instead of vegetables and colorful fruits.
And correct me if I'm mistaken.
Wild foods, mushrooms.
But essentially, everybody's body is going to react respectfully the same way, in the sense where we're going to use up our energy. Our blood sugar is going to do one of two things. It's going to spike or it's going to crash. And either way, we're going to eat something to counteract what our body is telling us. We're either tired and slow and sluggish and we need nutrition, or we're like cranked up and we need to de-stress. So what you keep around your house and what you're, again, when you're edgy and you just need to grab something to make your body go back to normal, what you keep around the house, those snacks, healthy snacks or junk food, cookies, your body's going to grab what takes path of least resistance to feel better.
Nutrition is definitely an integration tool. Definitely a really important one.
Especially, it's hard, and they did studies with sleep tests too. They're like, but it's like 4 a.m. and a person hasn't slept for over 24 hours. They go for the junk food. No, they go for the food that takes the least amount of thought and energy to cook and intention. Grapes, I love grapes. You just eat it. It cools you off. It gets your blood sugar stabilized. It's good. They're great.
There's a lot of foods that come with their own homemade bowls and wrapping too, which is great. Dragon fruit, avocado, built-in bowl. Coconut, built-in bowl.
Kiwi.
Yeah.
Built-in bowl. So the other calling, I suppose, quite literally with DMT, is, in my experiences, has been, I can get up. It doesn't always put me into the ground. Mushrooms were more unanimous for that. It certainly can. But I have been able to have lucid dreaming while on it, different visuals, things like if I put my hand on an object, the colors from my skin as well as the foreseeable energy will start to move in lines across the table towards what I am reaching to. And I use this as a meditation technique for Reiki. And I would even love to do a Reiki session using DMT so I can have those full visuals to see where my energy is going. Another really wonderful...
That'd be a really powerful thing a lot of people would pay for, I think.
Experience that I've had is...
DMT and Reiki.
Oh yeah, it's my thing. I love it. I have a meditation corner in the yard in where the trees are. And what ends up happening, to explain it to the best of my abilities, is it's like your brain takes a picture. So it's like a computer screen computer game where it's glitched on one thing, but you know you're looking over somewhere else, and the two images kind of overlap. And there's this pixelation app where you can like swipe a certain area and the colors will blend and give this trick of the eye movement where it looks like it's constantly flowing and circling and growing and expanding even though it's not actually going anywhere. And you can touch these things and your fingers will go like, it's real enough you feel you can touch this movement. And then you'll see it start to move around your fingers. I think we are seeing, self structures or some type of vibrational movement that we just regularly don't see, like how we can't see ultraviolet light.
Or see sound. But under the influence of psychedelics, you sure can.
Your brain does all these things where you can see these living beings grow, and it doesn't always just work on just anything. You can have a hand-drawn piece of art next to a picture that's printed off your computer. The art will move and you can see the magic in it, but just the digital copy picture just stays still and won't have any movement. The crystal ball gets lots of movement, and it will swirl around like the thing in Harry Potter that they can see memories from. And the other type of divination that I came across was if I have ash on the table, the ash will move and spiral and circle into different shapes and whatnot. And the biggest key factor to DMT is love, is what activates it. When I'm in that type of meditation space and I am working with the medicines, the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs and moments around love is where all the sparkles and things come alive. Like, love does create life. There's something to it. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, love is a mindset and an energy. Some of the greatest songs are all you need is love.
The other thing I like to do with DMT is look in the mirror. See myself, see my future sage self.
As your present self or visiting your present self?
For DMT in particular, it's me looking at my future self. And then possibly my future self having a message.
Like the Harry Potter mirror.
They say never look at yourself in the mirror, but it's what I enjoy doing the most. Plus my beard does this thing where it like grows down like super long and then recoils back up, and grass will do it too.
Psychedelics are very entertaining. Eh?
I've seen it the first time we did it together. I was telling you all the blades of grass that were growing. They grow like grass, and it was growing. At least, you get a visual of 3 feet of movement. And I've never seen anything or come across anything really that I couldn't explain how scientifically it's possible to see it. But I also know that I was called to DMT, and what I started rambling about in the first place about 5 minutes ago was being called to the McKenna Elves, because there are these ambient beings, like there's sounds. It's like a room atmosphere based on how you have decorated it with feng shui that would set up different, if you think of life as a stage play, how you would set up each scene with different props and different musics and whatnot, and it creates an ambience, an atmosphere that communicates to you and through you. I've had something that sounds identical to a crow. I've heard a crow calling quite commonly in a peacock.
Right now, you guys might not have heard that, but I did.
Animal spirits, peacocks come through when I'm using DMT. In particular, mushrooms were different. Mushrooms were something that's more on a vibrational, jittery frequency, like Morse code, kind of McKenna Elves. And there are these different types of beings, of life forms that exist around us all the time, and you can see them, and you can talk to them, and you can hear them depending on what you're working with.
You think DMT lets you see it and clearly know that it's another being?
DMT, yeah. One in particular that I had a big breakthrough with you when you were with me on the trampoline was this creature that had been...
That's a good place to do a experience.
Something had been trying to come through. I started at the fireplace and it started to come through, but because I freaked myself out, the trick got interrupted. But it was always there. And I've had different creatures or beings on DMT. One was more fox spirit when I was out in the back corner. This was the peacock. And it's this, as Terence McKenna would describe it, a mandala of a moving, being that would take shape of a peacock and caw and crow, but it would do like this backflip, and it would open into this colorful moving mandala of synchronized sacred geometry shapes, and like cogs and gears, all of it moving together at once, which I understand is what our cell structure is doing in our atoms and whatnot, little bouncing basketballs, and that's how we hold forms and shapes and whatnot. But this bird wanted to dance for me. It wanted to say, here I am, you see me? Watch, look at me. Watch what I can take this shape, and I can take this color. And then I opened my eyes to look at you, and I thought I was back, and you had like 3 eyes and this warped, distorted Picasso face. I'm like, okay, I'm not back yet. But in my research with DMT, aside from pain, is to explore these realms, see the world beyond what people have described as possibly purgatory, this world order realm that exists, full of life, that we can't consciously see, but we know is there because we've talked about it through 5,000, 30,000 years of history.
What if it's multiple layers?
Transcription. Yeah.
Like an onion. Or like there being like multiple chakra layers of energy, and depending on which frequency we're on, it depicts which part of the multiverse we're in.
Yeah.
Or what we're able to see, what we're able to manifest.
What we can found, this is psychedelics.
Be, do, and have.
101, and this is what I get out of psychedelics, so follow me. When they made the hover train, they realized that you take an electromagnetic magnet, you charge it with electricity, you can turn it on and off, binary, right? So it's either clamped and the magnet's sticking, or it's relaxed and there's weight and gravity. And they realized that if they turned it on and off at a certain frequency, that the train would hover and float. So what psychedelics has shown me is that this is what reality is, and everything that we know is constantly flickering in and out of existence, like the screen rate on a phone, but at a number and a speed of time and space that we probably can't comprehend. And all the different universes, multiverses, exist at once, but they're all flickering at just a different speed. So they're all happening at once, but none of them are actually touching each other.
Yeah.
When they came out with machine guns in World War I, they had to time the bullets to go in between the propellers in order for it to function properly.
Can you imagine being that engineer?
This is life. This is how we exist. This is what psychedelics have scientifically helped me understanding, what existence is. Or at least where my mind goes when I meditate on it anyway.
Yeah.
And then mushrooms, it's its own medicine in and of itself. Like the rapé, like the tobacco, and like the LSD. And which one would you like to know about? text, or do you think we're at? Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a pleasure, and we will do it again for sure. Really excited for all the good stuff to come. Do you want to just let everybody here know how it is that they can contact you if you've got any offers today?
Let's go with email me at Tristan@elementalgrowth.org. Thank you. And I'm offering free health histories right now, as well as searching for other people who may be on a similar path to myself, pain management, who are seeking a coach and help.
And you're doing health histories for free. And what's the health history?
Health history is understanding what you eat for each meal. If you've had pain and discomfort in the past, just a basic couple-page medical overview of, am I explaining it right? How would you describe it?
Yeah. It's essentially to build out a roadmap for where you're going. And in order to do that, you need to know where you are now, where you've been, and where it is that you really want to be. And so that's essentially what this is. Takes a look at your food, your history, and you give a few little resources and things to help. And
you have to talk to your doctor for any major changes you'd like to make, but I'm happy to discuss what changes might be best for you.
Yeah, and as a coach,
help you'd be able for yourself.
Yeah, and as a coach, you'd be able to email back and forth with the doctor and stuff like that too, because this is another, asset here, is that you get a choice in who's part of your team. Is a doctor or a nurse practitioner? Is it a naturopath? Is it, and then for your mental health, is it that you're working with a coach to help you with your habits? Maybe a therapist to help with talk therapy. And then you mix it all together, that's your formula. That's your team. Yeah, we really don't do this enough, I don't think. You and I just going on and talking. We spend so much time
we got
living and working
to talk to as well. Yeah, I'm always behind the camera and editing, so
yeah. But you have all these great experiences too, and I feel it's important, from that behind the scenes, I guess, perspective.
Radio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.